Dr. Chen removed his glasses, his eyes bloodshot. President, this unexpected truce changes everything. We need the rare components General Okoro mentioned, the ones that could be transported from the depths of the African continent. We also require the tuning crystals Marshal Kuznetsov reported still exist in an underground laboratory in Siberia. With these resources, and with the team working around the clock, we can have one, maybe two, of the Goliath missile prototypes ready for final calibration and launch. Yes. It's possible. Engineer Gao's voice was more cautious. It's an immense risk, General. The calibration of the parasitic resonance node for the missile must be absolute. A millimeter off, a nanosecond of error, and it will be useless. But if we have the resources in time, it's our best, perhaps our only, chance. A wave of emotion, part relief, part fierce determination, swept through the room. This was no victory, only a reprieve. But for humanity, standing at the edge of the abyss, it was a miracle. Orders were issued immediately. The few remaining stealth transport planes were mobilized to collect the vital components. Teams of engineers and scientists from around the world, risking their lives, prepared to travel to China. Humanity had deceived the destroyer. Now, time was racing, not for a desperate defense, but to forge the weapon that might give them the faintest chance to strike back. Earth had won a truce, but the final battle was yet to come. Chapter 38, The Song of Goliath. Location, South American Joint Command Center, Underground Complex No. 7, Buenos Aires, Argentina/Secret Underground Facility, China. Time, 2 weeks after the transmission of the message and the KR-TAC, void probing maneuver. The air in the Buenos Aires bunker buzzed with palpable electricity. Time had been stretched to its limit. Exhaustion was universal, yet a new energy, born of desperation and hope, kept everyone standing. The main screen displayed the KR-TAC Vanguard fleet, still in its probing position, unaware of the trap closing around them. Li Na, on the main connection from China, her face etched with fatigue but her eyes blazing, lifted her gaze. President Solis, President Maxwell, Marshal Kuznetsov, General Okoro. The requested resources have been delivered. The calibration teams have worked without rest. Dr. Chen and Engineer Gao confirm, Project Goliath is operational. A murmur of relief, silent and profound, rippled through the room. It was real. We have a single missile ready for launch, Li Na continued, her voice solemn. A prototype. Calibration is critical. The window of opportunity is narrow. It depends on their phase of energy transition, which occurs when their fleet prepares for large-scale maneuvers or interstellar jumps, far from planetary influence. Dr. Chen, voice firm despite the emotion, explained. We have identified a microfluctuation in the fleet's energy signature. It is tiny, barely perceptible, but it indicates they are conducting some form of long-range analysis or reconfiguration of their jump systems. This could be the transition phase we've been waiting for. If confirmed, it will be our only chance. Engineer Gao nodded, focused on the numbers dancing across her screen. The vulnerability window will last only a few seconds. The Goliath missile must be launched with millimetric precision in that instant. It is the clearest signal we've seen so far. Prepare the launch sequence, Li Na ordered, the tension cresting in this moment. Activate the Phantom Impact Protocol. Secret Underground Facility, China. In the throat of a hollowed mountain, the Goliath missile, a towering pillar of dark metal and unimaginable technology, stood majestic in its silo. Teams of technicians, faces lit by the glow of screens, performed final checks. Resonance frequency calibrated to nanohertz, reported one. Dark energy propulsion systems armed, confirmed another. Target identified. Awaiting vulnerability window. Dr. Chen and Engineer Gao stood at the main control panel, their hands trembling yet steady. Data streamed in, the alien fluctuation, the preparations of their systems, the imminent transition phase. No turning back. It's time to launch the missile. Engineer Gao shouted, her voice cutting through the air. Launch authorized. The panels shook. A low roar thundered through the silo as Goliath rose with controlled velocity. The mountain's armored doors opened, revealing the night sky above China. With a blinding flash that blurred its form, Goliath shot toward the stars, a beam of light in the darkness, leaving behind an ethereal trail of energy that dissolved into the atmosphere. Command Bridge of the Supreme Dreadnought Star Devourer. Emperor XYLAR, Lord Scientist Zarkin, and General Thrak watched the energy patterns of the terrestrial interference, immersed in their analysis of the supposed contamination threat. They were close to concluding their days of study. An impact alarm blared across the bridge, signaling the detection of an object on a collision course. Emperor. Unidentified object emerging from the planet, shouted a tactical officer. Extreme velocity. Unknown propulsion. It does not match any of their previous ballistic weapons. Zarkin manipulated his screens. It's using a dark energy impulse in a way we've never detected. It's a familiar resonance, but applied with an efficiency impossible for their level. It's heading straight for the Central Harvester mothership. The alert of an unidentified threat exploded across the Star Devourer's bridge. Sensors tracked an object moving at a fraction of hyperspeed, a missile surpassing their own interception projections. Admiral Vale turned, his face a map of alarm. "We cannot jump," he exclaimed, his voice cracking with panic. A hyperspace jump requires a 2-minute charge sequence to recalibrate the displacement drives. The missile will be upon us before then. We don't have the time. The hyperspace fields cannot synchronize. We cannot escape. Maximum power to shields. Deploy point defenses. XYLAR ordered, disbelief flooding him at the audacity of the terrestrial entity. How could they have launched something like this? The Goliath missile, a tiny point of light, accelerated with incomprehensible fury, driven by a fraction of the very energy the enemy themselves had mastered. It was the KRTAC's own note, sung in a deadly key. On the main screen, the Central Harvester mothership blazed with the flashes of KRTAC defenses, desperately trying to intercept the object. But Goliath was not a rock, nor a simple warhead. It was a key. The missile struck the mothership's dark energy shields. There was no massive explosion of light or fire as with a conventional bomb. Instead, Goliath unleashed a silent, terrible energetic implosion. The perfect note struck the mothership's dark energy cord just as its systems entered the delicate transition phase. The Central Harvester's shields flickered and collapsed. Not from physical impact, but from unbearable dissonance. The lights of the colossal ship went out in a cascading blackout, like a dying organism. Internal systems screeched, dark energy turning unstable, feeding back against itself. The ship's structure twisted, not exploding but painfully collapsing in upon itself, devoured by its own power source. The Central Harvester has suffered catastrophic failure in its dark energy core. Zarkin cried, a note that for a KRTAC was pure horror. The parasitic resonance. They've achieved the song. They're destabilizing our very power source. XYLAR's optics fixed on the screen. The Central Harvester, the logistical heart of their fleet, was disintegrating into a vortex of unstable energy, a beacon of inefficiency and destruction. It was not an explosion. It was a denial of existence, an internal collapse. Retreat. Immediate retreat of all units. XYLAR ordered, his voice at last betraying terror. This was not an attack they could comprehend. It was a threat to their very essence, a contamination on a scale they had never anticipated. Humanity had found a way to strike at their logic, to corrupt their purpose. The KRTAC Vanguard fleet, swarm of steel and dark energy, broke its probing formation. Their jump drives, forced to their limits, lit up their cores. One by one, the ships blurred and vanished from Earth's orbit, fleeing from an enemy that had used their own song to unleash horror. Earth, devastated and bleeding, had struck a blow. A desperate strike, a miracle born in the dark, that had driven the invaders away, for now. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, humanity had found its voice. Goliath had sung.